So Saturday, March 4th was March for Trump Day. Hilarious to get it right. So there was a lot of people holding, marches for him across the country. Relatively nonviolent. Nothing came about except for one place, Berkeley, California. This was kind of weird because Berkeley was in the news a couple of weeks ago when the UC Berkeley students rioted. I'll get to that later. So the Washington Post reports here, pro-Trump rally in Berkeley turns violent as protesters clash with the president's supporters. Supporters of the president and anti-Trump protesters clashed violently Saturday in Berkeley, California, a day that numerous pro-Trump rallies took place across the country. The demonstration was held at the city's Martin Luther King Jr. Civic Center Park. I don't know if there's any meaning behind that or not. I'm not even going to get into that. Several blocks from the University of California, Berkeley campus. Now, I think that has more to do with it. So photos from the afternoon showed police outfitted in riot gear shouting matches occurred and erupted within the crowd of a few hundred people, according to the police. People could be seen kicking and hitting one another, which you're about to see, with their bare hands or with signs they had been carrying. 7 people received medical attention for injuries, but none needed or wanted to be taken to the hospital, police said. Of the arrests, 5 were for battery, 4 for assault with a deadly weapon, 1 including a knife. Somebody got stabbed. It's getting serious, folks.
Just standing here like a coward. You guys are standing here looking very nice. You guys too? You're not doing your job.
I ripped all of his hair out. And my hair prettier, bitch.
So as I'm sure you can see right here, the violence is continuing. There's a lot of things that are going into play here. As I kind of alluded to earlier, March for Trump Day. So in UC Berkeley a couple of weeks ago, which is a very liberal school there in Berkeley, California, they held a protest to Milo Yiannapolous, who is the alt-right poster boy, flamboyant. He calls himself the dangerous faggot. I have a video about him, about a scandal that just happened about him. You can go see it on the other video. But there was a bit of violence. Some people think provocateurs or people who just wanted to start some shit, throw some shit, and break some shit, rocks through windows and stuff like that. Came to just have a good time. And but there was violence to a certain extent from liberals who preach anti-violence. That's our whole message, is to fix things through anti-violence. And it's such a self-defeating thing when you see people who are constantly just being so hypocritical. If you're gonna say you're against something, if Trump supporters are bigots and hateful people, well, how much better are you looking when you're going over there and splitting somebody upside the head with a sign? It's disgraceful, man. Come on, you're making us all look bad. But another interesting angle to this story is that there were some anarchists involved. Now, anarchists, a lot of you think about people who just were rioting, throwing through the streets and, just raising hell and want to just cause chaos, kind of like the Joker or something. And kind of to an extent, that's what these anarchists who showed up were about. But true anarchism is a political philosophy. So it has really nothing to do with what these people are talking about. But let me read you a quote from the article. The situation was further complicated when groups of self-described anarchists joined the crowd around 3 p.m., the San Francisco Chronicle reported. Anarchists were dressed in black and blocked traffic as they marched through downtown Berkeley, mingling with pro-Trump and anti-Trump demonstrators, according to the newspaper. So they're prodding both sides, trying to get them both fired up, obviously provoking people, trying to start some shit, which they did. It's unclear whether the anarchists belong to any group. Activists aligned with the Black Bloc group had similarly wreaked havoc during its protests in Washington during the inauguration. So any of the anti-violence stuff, there was a lot of people saying, George Soros or somebody else from like the left funded all these provocateurs, when people don't realize that a lot of folks don't have anything better to do than just raise hell and on a Saturday when they're off of work. But anyways, these groups take advantage of the legitimate protesters to destroy things and emphasize their anarchist roots. David Gomez, a former senior FBI counterterrorism official in Seattle, told the Post, "I completely agree. It's such a self-defeating purpose, and these people will come and take advantage of what they see as vulnerabilities in our society because we're more divided now than ever. And it breaks my heart to see liberals and conservatives fighting, literally, when it's gone from social media to rallies. And come on, guys, like, we can talk this out. We don't need to fight it out, because that's just going to exacerbate things." So ended up about, I believe, 4 people were hurt, none of them with life-threatening injuries, although one person was stabbed. There was a false report that somebody had died from a stabbing. That was confirmed to be false. Nobody wanted to go to the hospital, so they were okay. But as you can see in that video, some of those dudes were leaking, especially that guy with the Trump shirt on. I feel bad for him, man. Like, even though I totally disagree with him and probably wouldn't even like him much as a person, he's still a person. And I'm sure he was, starting something, or wasn't being as civil as one would be at a thing like this, or one would hope to be. But nobody deserves that. And these anarchists, fuck off. You're not helping anything, and I know that's what your goal is, so I guess it's working. But right here, buddy, all you fuckers.